The Young and the Restless spoilers. Saturday's weekly update, March 22, 2025. Rumors had been swirling throughout Genoa City for weeks, whispers that the lingering effects of Martin's latest acts of cruelty were far from over. In hushed conversations in dimly lit corners of local cafes and behind closed doors at private gatherings, it was said that both Phyllis and Sharon were suffering the delayed, insidious consequences of a poison Martin had forced upon them. Though both women had believed they had cheated death and overcome the ordeal, an unsettling dread still lurked beneath the surface, a haunting reminder that escaping Martin's influence was never truly possible. Martin, the notorious pervert and twisted mastermind behind so many schemes, was never one to offer forgiveness or second chances. His actions, ruthless and calculated, left scars that no antidote could erase. The very thought of him conjured images of a man who thrived on the pain and fear of others. To many, his cruelty was a grim warning. No one was safe from his wrath, and every victim was marked by a fate that was both inevitable and unforgiving. Meanwhile, in a surprising twist that confounded even the most fervent of fans, speculation about romantic entanglements began to take a strange turn. For months, loyal viewers had eagerly anticipated a blossoming connection between Lily and Damien, a pairing that many believed would bring a glimmer of hope and tenderness to an otherwise dark narrative. Yet, as the story unfolded, it became clear that the writer's true intentions lay elsewhere. In a shocking subversion of expectations, the narrative was instead steering toward a deep, intricate connection with Aristotle Dumas, a character shrouded in mystery and whispered rumors. Considered the secretive boss of Damien, Aristotle's true identity had yet to be unveiled, but speculation ran rampant. His every move was the subject of endless debate among fans, many of whom felt that tying Damien's fate to Aristotle Dumas was a colossal misstep in the grand scheme of the story. Amid these convoluted plots, the personal lives of those around Kyle were also starting to unravel. Once regarded as the epitome of steady love and unwavering loyalty, Summer was slowly revealing a side of herself that even Kyle had not anticipated. As days passed, he began to see behaviors in Summer that bordered on the irrational, especially her ruthless actions against Claire in a desperate bid to secure his love. The more Kyle observed, the more he realized that this twisted pursuit was not only unnecessary but was also poisoning the delicate balance that had long kept their relationships afloat. "Enough, Summer," he pleaded one tense evening, his voice thick with emotion. "This isn't the way, it's hurting Claire, and it's tearing us all apart." His words hung in the air as a stark reminder that love, when warped by obsession and misguided ambition, could inflict wounds that were far deeper than any physical harm. In the background of these domestic conflicts, young Harrison emerged as a steadfast protector, a pillar of resolve in a world rapidly descending into chaos. Fiercely loyal and determined, Harrison made it clear that his allegiance was unyielding. He would stand by his mother, Summer, no matter what. "I'll be here for you, Mom," he declared, his voice carrying the innocent yet unbreakable resolve of youth. His promise, though simple, resonated like a beacon of hope amidst the mounting tension, offering a small measure of solace in a sea of turmoil. The multifaceted drama of Genoa City had reached a fever pitch. Each character, from the tormented souls of Phyllis and Sharon to the conflicted hearts of Kyle, Summer, and Claire, found themselves enmeshed in a web of deception, betrayal, and unresolved anguish. Martin's influence loomed over them all, a dark specter whose venomous legacy had altered the very fabric of their lives. His poison, both literal and metaphorical, had seeped into every corner, corrupting relationships, distorting truths, and transforming allies into bitter adversaries. As the town grappled with these revelations, the interplay of personal vendettas and hidden agendas only deepened. The health crises that plagued Phyllis and Sharon were no longer just symptoms of a toxic substance. They were emblematic of the insidious nature of the forces at work, a grim reflection of how Martin's past misdeeds continued to cast long, dark shadows over the present. And while some had hoped that healing and forgiveness might eventually prevail, the reality was that the wounds inflicted by such relentless cruelty were not so easily mended. Meanwhile, Aristotle Dumas, that enigmatic figure at the heart of the Damien mystery, remained an ever-present enigma. His connection to Damien was shrouded in layers of intrigue and uncertainty, leaving both fans and characters alike questioning what role he might ultimately play in the unfolding drama. Some whispered that Aristotle was the puppet master behind the scenes, pulling strings with an iron grip, while others speculated that his intentions might be more complex than mere ambition. But one thing was clear: his involvement marked a pivotal turning point, one that would reshape alliances and challenge the very notions of power and loyalty in Genoa City. As the threads of these diverse narratives converged, Kyle found himself at a crossroads, torn between a desire for reconciliation and a need to confront the dark undercurrents that threatened to consume his world. His plea for Summer to cease her destructive behavior was not just a call for calm, it was an appeal to salvage what little remained of their fractured existence. In the midst of family strife, professional ambition, and the pervasive threat of Martin's retribution, every decision carried monumental consequences. The city itself seemed to mirror the internal turmoil of its inhabitants. Once a vibrant tapestry of hope and possibility, Genoa City now bore the scars of relentless betrayal and unchecked ambition. The weight of the past bore down on every street, every building, as if the very air was saturated with the bitterness of broken promises and shattered dreams. In such an atmosphere, even the smallest spark of defiance could ignite a conflagration of revolutionary change, or plunge the city into an abyss of despair from which there might be no escape. In these tumultuous times, the stakes had never been higher. Each character's struggle, whether it was Ashley's fight for sanity, Phyllis and Sharon's battle against a lingering poison, or Kyle's desperate attempt to restore harmony to his tangled love life, was a poignant reminder of how fragile the human spirit could be when besieged by relentless adversity. Martin's calculated cruelty was a constant specter, a reminder that in Genoa City, no one was ever truly free from the consequences of past misdeeds. As whispers of these events grew louder and the shadow of Martin's influence stretched ever further, the people of Genoa City braced themselves for the next chapter in their intertwined fates. Each day brought with it new challenges and unforeseen twists, a relentless reminder that the battle between redemption and retribution was far from over. And in the midst of this chaos, the only certainty was that the fight for love, trust, and personal integrity would continue, even as the dark undercurrents of betrayal threatened to pull them all into an endless spiral of despair. This narrative weaves together the delayed, toxic effects of Martin's poison on Phyllis and Sharon, the unforeseen twists in romantic alliances involving Aristotle Dumas and Damien, and the escalating domestic strife within Kyle's circle, culminating in a precarious struggle where trust, loyalty, and sanity hang in the balance. Billy had always prided himself on his ability to see the truth beneath the surface, a skill that now put him on a collision course with fate. One quiet afternoon in Genoa City, as he walked through the bustling corridors of the community center, his eyes caught a glimpse of Phyllis in a moment of vulnerability. It was unmistakable: the person she once was now clouded by deep internal strife. Something was gravely wrong with Phyllis. Though she tried to hide her pain behind a facade of resilience, Billy saw past the carefully constructed mask. That very moment ignited in him an unwavering resolve to help her, even if it meant diving deeper into the troubled waters of her existence. At that juncture, the consequences of Billy's decision began to echo into other corners of his life. His relationship with Sally, once a vibrant tapestry woven with shared dreams and promises, started to unravel. For years, Billy and Sally had been inseparable, a couple whose love was as intense as it was passionate. Yet, as the days went by, a bitter realization took hold: they were beginning to stand at different crossroads. Sally, with her relentless need to control every facet of Billy's life, had grown overbearing. She wanted to orchestrate his every move, to ensure that her vision of the future was never in question. Billy, in contrast, valued his independence above all. He believed that true love should never come at the cost of personal freedom, and he had always maintained that he would love Sally forever, if only he were allowed the space to make his own choices. His heart was bound to her, yet his spirit longed to soar free, unshackled by the constraints of control. This fundamental clash in their ideals proved too great a chasm to bridge. As Billy's dedication to saving Phyllis deepened, it also underscored the growing rift between him and Sally. Their once united front began to crumble, and the harsh truth emerged. Their love was now at a crossroads, with each partner clinging desperately to their own ideals. For Sally, every act of independence on Billy's part felt like a betrayal, a rebellion against the structure she so desperately needed to feel secure. For Billy, every attempt by Sally to rein in his choices was a reminder of the personal freedom he refused to relinquish. The love they shared was real, but it was undercut by the painful necessity that each remain true to themselves, even if it meant parting ways. Amid this internal upheaval, another story was quietly unfolding on the periphery of Genoa City. Sharon and Nick, too, were stepping into a new phase of their complicated relationship. Their journey had been marked by moments of tenderness interspersed with inevitable conflict, a delicate dance of passion and disillusionment. Lately, they had taken tentative steps toward forging something more stable, each tentative gesture hinting at the possibility of a future together. However, an unsettling undercurrent persisted. Both Sharon and Nick were haunted by the ghosts of past mistakes and the inherent difficulties of sustaining trust. Many observers, fans of their storied relationship, whispered that despite the promise of these newfound steps forward, the spark between them might soon fade. Their alliance, though genuine, was built on a foundation of complexities that could ultimately prove unsustainable. The transient nature of their connection loomed as a stark counterpoint to the more definitive choices being made elsewhere in town. As Billy's concern for Phyllis grew, so too did his inner turmoil about his own life. He knew that stepping into her life meant more than simply offering support, it was an act of rebellion against the oppressive forces that sought to control every narrative. His intervention was a declaration of his belief in the value of each individual's autonomy, a belief that resonated painfully with his own struggles in love. In his heart, he had always dreamed of a relationship where love was liberating rather than confining. He envisioned a world where his commitment to Sally was not weighed down by the chains of constant oversight, where each of them could grow and evolve freely. Yet, that dream was increasingly out of reach. Every moment he spent grappling with Phyllis's crisis was a reminder of the sacrifices he might have to make, sacrifices that could further distance him from the love he once thought unbreakable. The more Billy got involved with Phyllis, the clearer it became that his life was diverging from the path he once envisioned with Sally. In the silent hours of the night, as he sat alone contemplating the complexities of his heart, he realized that his own identity was being forged in the crucible of these trying times. His compassion for Phyllis was not merely a rescue mission, it was a reaffirmation of his belief that every person deserved the freedom to reclaim their true self, regardless of the darkness they faced. It was this belief that set him on a collision course with the controlling dynamics of his past relationship. While his heart still held love for Sally, it was now pitted against an irreconcilable need to act in accordance with his own principles, a need that demanded independence and the courage to let go when necessary. Ultimately, the fateful day arrived when the tension between Billy and Sally could no longer be ignored. In a heart-wrenching conversation filled with tears and the painful acknowledgement of their divergent dreams, they realized that their paths had irrevocably separated. Sally's desire to control clashed with Billy's uncompromising need for freedom, and despite the deep love they had once shared, the harsh reality was that they could no longer sustain a relationship built on incompatible ideals. As they bid farewell, it was not with hatred or bitterness but with the profound sadness that comes from the loss of what once was, a love that had been too precious to simply cast aside, yet too constraining to let flourish. Meanwhile, in the background of these emotional upheavals, Sharon and Nick's story continued to evolve with its own mix of hope and uncertainty. Their tentative progress, marked by both gentle understanding and inevitable discord, served as a subtle counterpoint to the dramatic shifts in Billy's life. Although their future remained uncertain, perhaps destined to flicker out as many believed, their journey was a reminder that in Genoa City, even the most fragile bonds were continually tested by the forces of change and fate. In the end, as the inhabitants of Genoa City faced yet another turning point, the intertwined destinies of its characters underscored one timeless truth: love, in all its forms, is both a powerful force and a delicate balancing act. Billy's intervention on behalf of Phyllis, the painful unraveling of his relationship with Sally, and the tentative steps taken by Sharon and Nick all revealed that even amidst chaos and heartbreak, each person was driven by an enduring hope. A hope for freedom, for authenticity, and for the possibility of a new beginning, however uncertain it might be.